17 states and 6 cities sue the Trump administration over the census and what's included on the form. Also, the California immigration crisis. The caravan approaches the border, and what does Trump do about that? Also, how long does it take for someone coming to this country and crossing over into this country at the border to seek asylum in this country? What's the process for that? Also, additional revelations in the Mueller probe. That and much more today on the Truth Hour.
Something really wrong is going on.
What kind of a show are you guys putting on here today?
I want the truth.
Good morning, Truth Hour audience. You are live on the Truth Hour this Thursday morning. Beautiful Thursday morning here in Pittsburgh, PA. I'm Shane Jameson. Glad to be on here this morning. Looks like I've got a number of people already on. Thanks for being on. Looks like my daughter Cheyenne. Kelly, welcome to you. Good to see you guys here. Hope your husband can make it at some point as well. Been keeping up with him and you on Facebook a lot, and look forward to having you guys on today. Welcome, Lauren. Thank you, sir, for being on. You guys are becoming some of my Truth Hour audience faithfuls, so I appreciate you guys. Do me a favor. If you're on here, you know what I'm about to ask. Share this to your page right now. Share this to your wall. Type something in if you'd like, and if you don't want to type something in, at least hit share. This helps me, guys, get on not only to your wall and to your friends, but it could go second and third generations on to somebody else's wall if they share it and realize these individuals don't even know me. So it is a possible growing experience for the Truth Hour, and you would be very instrumental in helping me do that. So thanks so much for doing that. Also, chat in. Give me any comments or questions, concerns, guys. You can also email me, truthourradio@gmail.com, truthourradio@gmail.com, with any topic concerns, topic suggestions, if you want to get a hold of me discreetly. Also, guys, I'm very approachable. Get a hold of me personally. You can Facebook message me, or you can actually text me. Feel free to call me. My phone number is listed on my Facebook page. So, good morning to you and yours, and another jam-packed session of the Truth Hour this week. We are never of a shortage of political topics. A lot front and center here, guys. But I'm going to come out of the gate, guys, on the immigration side of things and the census. I don't know if you've kept up with news this past week, but I've got a good discussion upcoming here on the Truth Hour about the census and about the immigration crisis as it pertains to this caravan that's coming up from South America. Honduras, I believe, is the original set of things here. And hello to you, Christine. Good to see you. Welcome to the Truth Hour. Please leave any comments you have there, and appreciate you attending this morning. This is a political insight show I do every Thursday morning, 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time in Pittsburgh. And we try to also incorporate some comedy and a good portion of faith in my show for the most part. Some weeks not so much, and some weeks a lot more than others. So not certain. We'll see how it pans out today. So long story short, let's get back to the census. Let's get back to the immigration crisis. 17 states and 6 cities currently are suing the Trump administration over a single question that's been placed on the census form that's going out for 2020. I don't know if you've kept up with this. It's absolutely one of the most ridiculous things I've ever seen. The census is in place for one reason. We are trying to document and get an idea, a calculation, a recording of the U.S. citizens, i.e. the census. Well, the Trump administration decided to place a single question within that census form that has literally got the left running around screaming almost the same that they did on the night of the inauguration when Trump won the inauguration, won the presidency. You know, screaming in the streets, crying, "Oh, woe is me." What would that question be? Oh my gosh, are you a U.S. citizen? Yes or no? You would think that the left would have thought that the world has came to an end. And once again, it doesn't take anything. I mean, just, blue skies and rainbows, and the left thinks that Trump's a racist. It doesn't take anything. They can connect the dots between Trump and racism without any dots to connect. In fact, they do so on a daily basis, this being no exception. They've taken the census, which is something that's been around for forever that we use to gauge the current citizenry and the numbers of our citizens in this great country. And Trump comes out of the, and basically it's simple. He's anti-illegal immigration. He's pro-current immigration law, federal law, and he is simply taking the steps to make certain that it happens. Looks like Todd might be on. Jason, welcome, guys. If you land on here, give me a couple of minutes to see if you like this. If you do, guys, you see some relevance here, please share this to your wall. I'm trying to grow my audience. The Truth Hour is a political insight show. I do this once a week, and I'm grateful for your time here with me today. So, yeah, I mean, the census is... how could anybody find fault with that? But, once again, as soon as I heard that this is what they were upset about, I mean, being a staunch conservative, it's easy. I mean, you can see these things coming, 10,000 miles away, as to what would offend the left. Because, like I said, they don't need any dots to connect dots as to, Trump being a racist, Trump being a, Islamophobe, Trump being a homophobe, Trump being a whatever, fill in the phobe or the ism. And they think that Trump is that. They do not think that Trump is a great president. They do not believe in President Trump or this administration, any of his agenda, and they have basically taken a back seat to that. So naturally, when the census comes out, the form basically asks you if you're a citizen or not. They go crazy about it, and they start screaming racism. They start screaming, hypocrisy. They start, screaming at the top of their lungs that Trump is this and Trump is that. But let's be realistic. Once again, every time you take an argument or a plea from the left, it's easy to dissect. It's easy to dissect. It falls all the way down to one thing. Now, they cloak it in a lot of different stuff, and they want to put it under, racism with Trump, but that's not what it is. Guys, it's about votes. Always keep that in mind. It's really simple when you're dealing with the left. You're dealing with a far left liberal, somebody that's pretty much a socialist / almost communist type individual, which the far left in this country unfortunately is and has become. It falls under one or two or three categories, but it always culminates down to one thing. There's a funnel, and it starts up at the top, and they say one thing, but it comes down to one thing. It's all based on an illusion of control and power based on someone's vote. A vote in this country is more lucrative than somebody's principle or rights. That's the way the left looks at things. Okay? So at the end of the day, by asking if you're a citizen of this country on a legal document that the United States government produces, you are somehow racist. Well, it's pretty simple. If they see this as a way of deterring people from filling out the census, they see this as a way of maybe depleting or maybe pushing back their voter base, the illegals from coming out and potentially voting in upcoming votes in upcoming elections. They see this as a possibility of scaring these people back. Well, good. I hope that happens, because first and foremost, the illegal aliens do not have a constitutional right to place a vote in this country, in a local election, in a state election, and darn sure in a national election. It just shouldn't happen. I'm pretty sick of the left in this country acting like that if you can make it through whatever trials and tribulations you can, and you step foot on this country's sovereign soil, and you make it across through our immigration system and through the border that isn't there yet, Trump's trying to fix that somehow you're qualified for all of the other subsidies and categories of support and welfare and all of the above. It's ridiculous. And thanks for your comments there, Christine. I appreciate you chiming in. So, the hypocrisy on the left is becoming more and more evident, guys. And what's crazy about this, and I'll get into this as we go on into the hour here, the left doesn't hide their intentions very much anymore, especially with even the Second Amendment. We'll get into that, their attack on guns. But they're definitely not hiding the fact that they're pro-open borders. Hillary Clinton's pro-open borders. The left in general is pro-open borders, and it's pretty simple. The left, the Democratic Party, has alienated the majority of their citizenry as a voter base, so therefore they need another victimhood base of a voter base, and that is none other than, 10 or 12 million that are already here illegally, the 800,000 to a million of DACA recipients, along with any other upwards of 1,000 a day that make it across that border. Add that up, guys. 1,000 a day on average can make it across the border into this country as it currently stands. And if they can do that, they see those as potential generational voters. Not only them, but then they're going to raise their children here. They're going to tell their children and their children and their children that, we got here because of the compassion of the left. I made it across to this great country because of the border that the left fought for us to get here. And so what they see this is a generational ability to have control and power. That's all it's about, guys. That's all it's about. So it's all about votes. It's all about a misconception. It's all about an illusion. But at the center and down at the very bottom of that funnel, it's nothing more than votes. They could care less about the individual, well-being of these people that are. And let's talk about this caravan. They could care less about the individuals that are risking their life and limb to literally. And there is a part of me that has compassion for people that want to seek asylum from the atrocities of their third world country. I do not fault people for that, but I do fault people for trying to basically rush our borders based on current immigration law, or the lack of enforcing current federal immigration law. I'm against that. And I've got another picture of exactly, and we can talk about California as it pertains to this too. There's a picture I got. There's a good picture there of the actual convoy of people, the caravan that's being called. Come to find out, there's a far left-leaning group that is actually helping organize this, and it's not just a recent thing. This has been ongoing, guys, for years. And it's usually around Easter when weather's permissible. There is a push or a movement to facilitate a mass migration north from these oppressed countries such as Honduras, El Salvador, South America, all these other places, to come up and try to get into the country. And one of the tools that they're using now is if you approach the U.S. border and you talk to a U.S. border agent, you're actually at the point of contact. They've trained you what to say. One, it's best if you have a child, makes you even more susceptible to be accepted. And then two, if you claim asylum in the United States from being persecuted in your own country. Well, there's a problem with that, though. The way that it should work and the way that it legally is put out internationally is if you're seeking asylum from persecution in your country, that's supposed to take place and be applied to the first country of origin that you come to outside of your country, right? So if you leave Honduras, right, and you cross into another country, the first country you cross into, you're claiming asylum from your country to the next country, not a stopgap of 6 or 8 other countries before you get to the United States and then you claim asylum. That's not how it's supposed to work. You claim an asylum from your country and you're fleeing the atrocities of your country, then that only applies to the next available country. So there's a point that dismantles that. So what they've done is what I'm trying to get at is Mexico's facilitating this as well. Mexico is front and center in facilitating this. They've got pamphlets, they've got people along these routes that actually tell these people what to do. And this isn't, guys, we're not even just talking about the illegals from Mexico. We're talking about the illegals from Mexico in addition to the illegals from the rest of the countries in South America that come up and use Mexico as a corridor to get to us. So I had a thought here the other day. This is what I think, and I'll talk to you a little bit more why I think this. This isn't being funny or brash. Pretty much the way that California declared this, I got a picture showing you exactly what the U.S. border should look like. Right there. Bingo. They want to implement laws. They want to have an attorney general. They want to have mayors of these cities, of these communities. They want to have these police departments that are totally hook, line, and sinker sheeple for the new California agenda against the Trump administration and current federal immigration law. They want to toe a line like that. Okay, how about while Trump's actually considering putting up a $25 billion wall on our southern border, maybe he just should add it, and it looks almost about double. Let's just make it $50 billion, and we'll just take it on up from Mexico on up the western side, the border of California. They don't want to be a part of the United States either. I mean, they've basically already declared that through their policies and through their statutes, through their laws that they've passed that actually trump current immigration law, the penalties that they show through Attorney General of California that says they will prosecute anybody abating or helping ICE agents do their job. to the, as far as from there to the Oakland mayor that basically gave heads up to an ICE raid that went from about, I think it was hundreds, a few thousand that were going to be actually apprehended that were on the docket on that specific raid, down to only a handful or a couple of hundred got apprehended because she had a press release. Okay, so let's just cut them out. You don't want to be a part of the United States. You don't, the United States of America that falls, all the states collectively fall and legally underneath legality of the federal government, the federal statutes and laws and guidelines. You don't want to toe the line there. You don't want to be a part of that. Then we'll cut off your money and we'll put a border wall up. You don't deserve our taxpayer money. I don't want to fund a socialist state. It's exactly what California's become. Now, here's a bright side in all of this. The bright side in all of this is there is a number of cities and municipalities within counties, actually within California, that have actually started standing up and have joined the suit, the countersuit. Basically, it's not a countersuit, but Jeff Sessions, Department of Justice, suing the state of California for this very thing. So you've got a number of counties that are basically saying, you know what, I'm not going to put up with being told by my own state that I have to ignore and abandon current federal law just because my state tells me I got to, right? And so, kudos to them. Kudos to them for standing up. I applaud them, and you know what? I think as the days and weeks unfold, there's going to be a lot more of California that is actually going to come on board with the Trump administration against the state of California, and I hope they do. But for the most part, guys, California, just look at what the Democratic, socialist policies of redistribution have done to that state. It's a cesspool of drugs. It's a cesspool of people that squat in that state, a cesspool of people that don't work for a living. They're not self-sufficient. They're not self-providing. They don't self-govern. They crutch on the state government. They further crutch on the United States government, and they don't want to uphold our current laws, and they act like that the rules don't apply. Well, you can't have that without any kind of recourse. I mean, sorry, and we've got an administration that's going to put their money where their mouth is, and they're going to make you pay for it. So let's go down through a couple of stats here while we've got this picture up about the immigration thing, and we had a picture a while ago of also the caravan. In case you care to know, I talk about on this program often the cancerous policies of an unchecked and unbalanced immigration policy, where if you've got illegals pouring into this country, and at this current moment I think we have 8 to 12 million, that's a very low end to a very high end number of actual illegals. That's in addition to the 800,000 to another million plus of known DACA recipients. The cancerous process I call economic cancer that's been eating and undergirding the foundations of this country for generations. And that is the fact that, so you take that illegal base. They currently do a lot of the jobs that Americans won't do. I know there's a certain portion of this that there is a necessity, but regardless, majority of illegals don't pay taxes. They're a huge burden on the tax base. And then here's the other side. So while they're not paying into the government coffers for the money they are making, at the same time, the double-edged sword of this is then they take the money they're paid underhand and under table, and they send a majority of it back where? They send it back to their home country, which is most of the time it's Mexico, or even further south into South America. That's economic cancer, guys. Do you care to know the figure for the first 11 months of this past year? $26 billion was sent back across the border. Watching Tucker Carlson the other night. He does a fabulous immigration piece, and he has done for the last 3 or 4 nights. 26 billion with a B, guys. You know what's funny? As soon as he said that figure, it's been proposed that the wall would cost 25 billion. Well, that's crazy. So we sit back, money that has been paid from employers and other entities to these illegals in our country, and to the tune of $26 billion then flies across the border to help another country that's basically using us as a host. And they're parasites. The parasitic tendencies and the parasitic standards of Mexico and these other South American countries that are literally using the abundance and the current lax immigration laws that aren't being enforced. Now, that is not. I'm not slamming our current administration. I'm simply stating what it's been like for generations, and that is changing as we sit here and notice and watch. But they are using the United States as a host, and they're draining us financially and sending billions back across the border. Guys, Mexico makes more money off of its immigrants being here, its citizenry being here as illegal immigrants, than it does in oil exports. Guys, it makes more money off of its citizens being here illegally in this country than it does probably off of the drug trade. It is an absolute joke. So, make no mistake about it. And Mexico then releases a press release and says that the wall is a hostile act, condemns the Trump administration. Let me tell you why. You got to add this up, guys. 2 + 2 is 4. They want a porous border. They want as many. Mexico has used illegal immigration into this country as a business model. That's exactly what it is. It is a well-orchestrated, well-oiled machine. It has been well thought out, well tested and tried for generations, and it pays. You look no further than the last 11 months and $26 billion. Now, guys, add that up over year after year after year. Now, that number only goes up because every year more illegals come here every year. The number of that goes up, and the number of people getting paid under the table, subsequently more money going back across the border. I bet if we could chart this over the last 25 to 50 years, I bet the number has just literally went through the roof for exporting of funds, untaxable funds from this country over there. So we are one of the biggest money makers for Mexico. So why would they want a wall? They don't care less about the individuals. They want to export as many of their citizenry here because then they get to crutch on our welfare system. They get to crutch on all of the systems that are in place for our U.S. citizens. They get to basically abuse that and use that and then make money and send it back. Yeah, and yet again, they're all educated. If you approach the border, if you just walk up and you're like in Spanish, and I don't know a word of Spanish hardly, and you're like, yeah, I'm seeking I just want to get into the country. Okay, sorry, that's not the right code word. And then on top of that, even if you don't say it right, it's called catch and release. If you get brought into this country on the border by being detained, it's called catch and release. It's a Trojan horse, and we allow it to happen. And guess what happens? Guess what happens here? 700 plus days is what it takes for an asylum court. Basically, if you're seeking asylum and you're caught and released, and you've been given a court date to re-show up at said county, at said courthouse, to then face an asylum court to see if you're valid to stay based on your persecution in your country. 700 days, guys. That's the better part of 2 years. So I walk up to the border. I'm illegal today. I don't have to be back here until 2020. Almost. Late 2019, 2020. And then on top of that, what that does is it drains our judicial system to have to even put up a certain element of the court to have to defend and to have to put out. I mean, here's what I'm all about. There's so many things here. If you get here illegally, then you're awarded a court system. You're awarded rights under our Constitution that you're not even a citizen to qualify for. Okay, then the asylum courts, if you come here and you manipulate that, and who knows, maybe they're even being truthful. Okay, there is a process for that. Bring us your weary and your downtrodden. Okay, but 700 days. And by the time that actually happens, here's what most people do. Do you think they actually go back to the courts that they're directed to? No, they don't go back to the courts they're directed to. Why would they? The courts that they're directed to for immigration, illegally or for asylum seekers, most of the time they're going to get deported. So if I come here and I claim asylum, I'm disappearing. And Christine writes, yeah, I agree. Too many people are making a lot of money under the table with the drug trade and the liberal illegal immigration. Yeah, absolutely. So So and here we'll dive into this a little bit more. So, Trump couldn't get, the Dems won't allow him to get the $25 billion straight up for the wall. He got $1.5 billion and $1.6 billion. I mean, guys, I think that funds a border wall of about 33 miles. Well, that's a joke. He then thought, and I still don't know where this stands, but he thought the Trump administration then seizes the moment and says that, well, we bolstered the defense budget in this bill, and guess what? If I deem it a defense issue, I can just pull from the coffers of the defense budget to build the wall. I think that's still being thought about. But here's what President Trump did that's brilliant. What did he do? In addition to still having that as a possibility to pull money from the defense budget to build the wall, he's deployed, as of yesterday, signed it in. He's deploying our National Guard, our troops, our military to the southern border. Can I get a clap for that? Amen. Amen. Nothing will deter a caravan of illegals or a handful of illegals or whatever more than seeing the United States military posted all along our border. And let's be real, they are there for an advisory role. I think that those rules and rules of engagement per se should be actually updated and reconfigured. I do believe that they actually should have a lot more more relaxed rules of engagement. I mean, guys, every day, not only are there people just trying to seek, the asylum of the country, and they show up with no weapons, and they don't have any actual, straight up, evident ill repercussions against the country that could be seen, but at the same time that those people are trying to access the country, there's hundreds that are trying to get drugs across, human trafficking across, all the other, who knows, illegal immigrants? I mean, let's be real. Oh, but you can't do that. It's politically incorrect. You can't say that. So you got someone of Middle Eastern descent sneaks into South America, mules up through the corridor of Mexico, and then blends in with all the illegal immigrants that get in here. I don't think you're going to know them from anybody. They're going to look just like anybody else. So, they can call it whatever they want. But if I was a terrorist, that's exactly what I'd do. Because you're not getting in here on some ship, plane, or boat. You're not going to get over here. So if you can get over to South America in some form or fashion, work your way in, weasel your way into a caravan or a group of people that try to assault the border, hey, odds are, currently as of today, time is of the essence. If you're trying to get across the border now unabated, your days are basically numbered because the military's fixing to be there. Good luck with that. So, and welcome to you, Jason, and Thomas. Welcome to you, sir. And my buddy Jason there writes, the president can take it a step further, as you and I know, brother. He can send his own to the job, and the left can't do anything about it. Absolutely. Yeah, good point, Jason. Appreciate your insight there. Thomas actually says, number one, punish anyone who employs illegals. Number two, secure the border. Number three, deport all illegals. I'm not going to say what he said there. And absolutely, I mean, there has to be a consequence here. Good point, Thomas. I mean, I liken it like a ship at sea. If I'm at sea and I've got a number of holes in my boat and I've already taken on X amount of water, okay, the water already in the boat already represents the illegal base that's here. The water coming through the hull represents the current atrocity happening on our border. Okay? The current influx of illegal immigration. So do you A, bail water only? Do you B, plug the holes? Well, you plug the holes first, or you sink. So, we can discuss, the deportation of, 8 to 12 million. To me, I don't believe that's practical. And I'm going to go here and say this. I'm a little softer on my principles on the current people that are here. At some point, we do have to have a discussion because of the impracticality, the financial burden of trying to deport that many people. Now, if we find you and you're a further criminal, like the left always says, if you've committed crimes, if you come here illegally, you are a criminal. But with that being said, if you've been here 10 or 15 years and you're working, at the taco joint down the street and you're for the most part a good citizen, or well, excuse me, not a citizen yet. If you're for the most part a good immigrant and you haven't done anything, you're not committing additional crimes, you're just trying to raise your family, I believe there should be an open discussion about somehow giving that individual and his family that are here some pathway to citizenship over, I don't know, 4, 5, 6, 8, 10 years. Bring them out of the shadows, tax them on the income they got, and leave them in a status of limbo until they've been through that process to become a legal citizen. I believe that's the most practical way. And I say the other point, guys, that actually helps with that is if you do that, if we take those 8 to 12 million and we somehow come out of the woodwork with a practical way to citizenship over a given period of time, I'm going to tell you something else that accomplishes. It takes everything, all the wind out of the Democratic sails. All they care about is the voter base that will be the illegal voter base. If Trump and this administration would come up with some kind of comprehensive immigration platform that would bring this 8 to 12 million plus the DACAs out of the darkness and give them some form of citizenship, not instantly. Oh my gosh, you want to talk about have a rush on your border? Bring them out of the woodworks in a very organized way and tax them. I say you definitely do not allow them to vote until they're a citizen. You tax them and you keep them on a short leash until they've proven and gone through the process, and then at some point they're given some form of citizenry, and then then at some other stage maybe they're given a right to vote. I'm not saying give it all up at once. I'm saying, guys, we have a real and clear present danger and threat in this country, and ignoring 8 to 12 million illegals is not the way to do it, and we darn sure aren't going to confiscate all the greyhounds in this country and deport them. It ain't happening. Okay, and welcome to you, Kelly, for being on here, and yeah, great points there. So, and Thomas also writes, that was the name of the operation during the Eisenhower administration. Yeah, that's right. And you're right on that, Thomas, and you caught me off guard with that comment, so I just kind of omitted saying it on air. But yeah, you're right, exactly. So my point being, there is a practical way to deal with this, and then there's an impractical way. And if the Trump administration would stop looking at the tree, or start looking at the forest in spite of the tree that's in front of them, they could see a real opportunity here, a real opportunity to decimate the Democratic voter base for generations. Okay? For generations. And welcome Lisa to you. Welcome Alicia to you. Thanks for being on the Truth Hour this morning. Come to you live. You guys might have been on. I know you've been on before, Alicia. Welcome back. Yeah, the Truth Hour radio program, guys, live every Thursday morning here in Pittsburgh, PA, 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Thanks for being on. Please instantly share this to your wall. Guys, everybody that's listening, click the share button. I don't care if you write anything about me. Hopefully it's good if you do. You don't have to write anything when you share it. You can share it to public now if you find some relevance here. This helps me grow my base. Second and third generation down from my wall gets me and this program onto your wall, and then your friends see it and possibly share it even deeper. So thanks a lot for doing that. And you're welcome, Alicia. Thanks a lot. So yeah, we've been diving in on how long you've been on here, but a brief recap. We have been talking about the current census meltdown, the fact that the Trump administration has just basically asked one simple question on the census, which is, are you an American citizen? Are you a citizen? Yes or no. Declare what you are. And the left is having a meltdown over that. Again, connecting dots that aren't actually there to be connected to racism with Trump. It's a joke. We've also discussed the caravan crisis. Exactly who's behind that. There's extreme left-wing group that's behind those, and that isn't the first time it's happened. It's been happening for years. And then we've also talked about California's response to this. But I'm going to tell you something else. I had this genius thought the other day. I'm like, you know what they should have done? Let's reroute that 1,200 person caravan. Let's reroute that caravan right over there to San Diego. Let's come up into that side of the country. Let's hit that massive border, right, with every single one of those 1,200 illegals that are trying to get in this country and claim asylum. And then let me tell you what, at the border, we should have the Trump administration standing at the border, at the checklist, and basically just tell the border agents, just relax your rules of engagement. We're going to let these people in, and as they walk in, we're going to hand them a pamphlet with direct and specific directions to the residents of the mayor of Oakland. And as soon as they get that, we're going to have on there that there's going to be free food and bedding and cots, and they're going to come all the way up, and she's welcoming you with open arms. That's exactly what should happen. Let's fast track them to the mayor of Oakland. Let's let them bunk in her front yard, and let's let her deal with the fallout. See, but Democrats won't do that. They don't have nothing to do with them. They don't want to get their hands dirty. They don't want to deal with the cesspool of having to have a needy population that crutches on your welfare system, that has a needy population that's not self-sufficient yet, that needs every single bit of help that they can get. They don't want to deal with that. They just want your vote. They don't want to deal with helping you. That's all they care about. So, whatever. Let's fast track them over to the and also, how about the AG of California? In fact, that makes more sense. Let's divide them between the mayor of the mayor of Oakland, and the Attorney General of California, and any of these other individuals that thinks that current federal immigration law is a joke. Let's give them. In fact, we'll hand them all a cell phone with maps on it and GPS. And a bottle of water, and we'll say, guys, here you go. Here's your, we've got you set up. Here's your direct coordinates to Jerry Brown, the mayor of California. We'll give you the AG's address, and we'll also give you the Oakland mayor's address, and you guys will be welcomed with open arms. I guarantee you that will be short-lived. So yeah, I get pretty animate about that stuff. So, guys, thanks for being on this morning. I appreciate your attendance here, and great feedback, guys. One of the best episodes that I've had. Good feedback. Thank you for being engaged. Thank you for having your statements, any questions. I love doing this. I love having the chance to communicate back and forth with a very, very involved audience, and you are being one today. Thank you so much. So we'll keep moving along here. But once again, make no mistake, guys, the dynamic between United States and Mexico is one of this. We are a host, and they are a parasite. I can get a lot of kickback for that. I don't really care. That is the clear definition of a parasitic/host relationship. Look it up. I'm not being racist. I'm not being unethical. I'm not being unprincipled. I'm being truthful. When something or an entity or an individual or a group uses another person, entity, or group for none other than what they want to, than their own political gain or their own financial gain, and then they do not contribute back, and then they pull from that said host and send it back across the border, that is economic cancer. It is parasitic, and that's exactly what's happening to our country. That's why Mexico does not want to have anything to do with the border wall. That's why they have called that an actual hostile act on America's part to actually even consider a wall. Let them think it. I could care less, and I can guarantee you one thing, Trump could care less. So, and we also stated in the first 11 months of this past year, $26 billion transferred hands from all the illegals back across the border. Economic cancer, guys. No ways to add that up otherwise. Okay? We discussed catch and release. What a joke that is. Catch and release is a joke. That's not a law. Here, we've got you, and we're going to let you go. Please, Mr. Illegal and Mrs. Illegal, please come back at this specific location. Here's your court date. Here's your county. Here's the time frame. We'll see in, hello, for asylum, it takes 700 plus days to get a court date. And if I'm illegal, I'm like, later. So, yeah. So Trump is actually doing two things. We're going to minimize the asylum time. He's adding more judges to the circuit when it comes to illegal immigration. People that, and in my opinion, you should eliminate that process altogether. Because why, ladies and gentlemen? The fact is you do not qualify for any judicial type system if you do not fall under the jurisdiction of this country. You are not afforded the same rights. You are not afforded the same due process. You are not a U.S. citizen. Therefore, why are we giving you time of our time and our money to further the process when if we stop you at the border and we catch you, we basically put a size 12 in your backside and send you back the other way? What's wrong with that? What's wrong with having a border that basically, here's what will happen. You put a strong border wall and the military up there like Trump's fixing to do. The border is fixing to be secured by the military. You'll have about a few days or weeks, maybe a couple of months of the same old happening. Drug mules show up, try to get drugs over the border. Caught, kicked back. You get people trying to seek asylum, caught, kicked back. You have all this happen, you get caught and kicked back. Guess what? The grapevine in Mexico travels a lot faster than people may think. Funny how people with no cell phones or ability to communicate can pretty much communicate instantly. I guarantee you, they walk up against a border wall that's 30 foot tall with no access, military basically stationed about every 100 yards, and there's no access to this country except through the points of entry, and they know that their excuses for asylum won't work anymore. I can guarantee you, the flow will end. The demand will end. That's what we need to do. That's what we need to do. I mean, we need to stop messing around, beating around the bushes, and and playing politics with this. It's pure simple. How about the Mueller probe? Come to find out, Rob Rosenstein, however you want to say it, potato, tomato, Rosenstein, whatever. Come to find out, he drafted a memo a full week after Mueller and the FBI ransacked and rampaged Paul Manafort's house. Anybody keep up with that? I'm going to say that again. A new memo has been discovered from Rob Rosenstein granting Mueller an expansion of his parameters in the Russia collusion probe to encompass the raid that took place on Paul Manafort's house. But here's the problem. That memo was drafted a week after the FBI and Mueller raided Paul Manafort's house. So isn't that putting the buggy before the horse, as the saying goes? How can you have a strict parameter and guideline for an investigation that never should have taken place or been let off the ground to begin with? How can you have parameters that are basically broken, and then you come back and it looks like, to me, one of the biggest CYAs I've ever seen? Let's draft a memo a week after the fact that, okay, I want to give you permission to go raid an individual's house that falls well outside the parameters of Russian collusion as it pertains to Russian entities or the Trump administration. And let's raid Paul Manafort's house that was only a part of the administration for 4 to 5 months and had nothing to do with, hardly anything to do with Trump. And as soon as there was any conflict, Trump sent him packing. So let's go raid his house and then go, you know what? I can imagine the talk. I can imagine Rosenstein and Mueller having a get-together, maybe over lunch or tea, or a crumpet, and going, oh, yeah, I think we stepped in it here, Rosenstein. I think we stepped in it. Well, what do you say that, Mueller? Well, yeah, because you remember last week, we kicked in the door, 6:30 a.m., Manafort's family still in bed, trying to catch some Z's. Totally unintentional raid. You remember that raid? Oh, yeah. Well, guess what? That fell well outside my parameters for the special counsel. We might be in a bind. Oh, you know what? That sounds right. You know what? I'm going to jump all over that. So Rosenstein, probably in his house slippers, still walks in, half asleep. That week later, goes into his office or his place that he does all his business, and drafts a letter to basically CYA, cover his CYB for the Truth Hour, cover your butt, right? Let's CYB this. Let's get this out. And I'm sorry, guys, this will be another huge thing. This is just another example of the corruption train. Right? The corruption train. It's ridiculous. So, let's go knock down somebody. Let's go investigate somebody. Guys, it's really simple. And why did they come up with the term collusion to begin with? I've been watching a lot of my faves on Fox, guys. I don't know if you're, a Fox and Friends, if you're a Sean Hannity, a Tucker Carlson, Mark Stein gets on there a lot. Laura Ingraham, we'll get into that later. All of the talk shows on Fox. Guys, it's ridiculous that they've been saying, in Alan Dershowitz, the law professor, he's a Democrat, and he's out saying this is a joke of an investigation. It should be disbanded instantly. It was predicated on nothing, started without a crime. How do you have an investigation and a special counsel instigated on nothing? There was nothing to instigate it. So how should you ever have I mean, you've got an investigation in search of a crime when you should have a crime that's being investigated. But yet on the Hillary Clinton side of things, you've got a mountain of evidence into the DOJ, the FBI, the Clinton Foundation, the Obama administration, all of these people and entities. There's a mountain of actual evidence there. And look what, not to deviate here or get off of the point, and then you got Sessions that appoints a guy, an attorney from Utah, to act as like a special prosecutor that's not quite there to make certain if there is enough evidence to warrant a special prosecutor. Where was the standard whenever the Trump administration was scrutinized? Why was the bar so low to achieve the certain accessibility to have a special counsel for Trump being investigated in a witch hunt for the last 16 to 18 months? Where was the standard for that? Literally, the bar was so low you could fall over it. But funny how when you got a mountain of evidence that now you've got to jump through all these hoops and all this has to be checked off and this T has to be crossed and this I has to be dotted and this has to be looked at and this has to be looked at and we're not certain of this, we're not certain of that. You've got enough evidence to fill a dadgum football stadium with evidence to put a special counsel on. Yet Jeff Sessions appoints a guy to see if there's enough evidence to appoint a special counsel. That's absolutely ridiculous. Yeah, CYA, cover your accounts. Love it. So, whatever. But guys, it's getting worse and worse. And let me tell you something. I was listening to this too, and it makes evident sense here. Why was this whole investigation, this joke of an investigation, predicated on such a lax term that isn't even a constitutional crime? It isn't on the books. It's not mandated anywhere as an official crime that can be charged or hold any kind of penalty or perjury or any kind of crime type, repercussion. The word collusion is what they might call a political sin. You don't want to be caught colluding with another country, but it's not a crime. Then why, on God's green earth, did the Department of Justice, the FBI, this investigation, why has it been centered around, what was the genesis of it for, to be centered around the word collusion? Have you ever asked yourself that question? It's simple. It is simple. They had to be as vague as they could because they had nothing to be specific about. There was no crime. They floated the conspiracy of collusion as basically this all-knowing, all-expanding, ever-growing parameter, and that's exactly what the Mueller investigation has been. It has not had a definitive border. It has not had a definitive time limit. It has had an unlimited budget. It has had unlimited amounts of prosecutors on Mueller's team that are all Democratic contributors. It has been given unlimited borders, and Rosenstein is running the FBI, not Jeff Sessions. Or excuse me, retract that. Sessions is not running the DOJ. Rosenstein is. And let me tell you something. If Rosenstein is going to continue to be the guy that runs everything de facto, then Sessions needs to be let go. I don't care if he's kind of finally getting underway. I'm sick of this drip, drip, drip. I'm sick of it. The standard to have this investigation looked at from another angle has taken such a long period of time, and we've had to jump through so many hoops that it's not just a nuisance anymore, ladies and gentlemen. It's become a criminal act. There is a reason why they have slow-walked this and slow-played this to the American people. And I think guys, I think when this is all uncovered and the truth and the light of all of this has been shown for what it is, there's going to be people on the wrong side of the aisle on both sides of the aisle. Make no mistake about it. A majority of this is Democrat. A majority of this is the left. Guys, the establishment runs on both sides. It's a non-biased organization. The swamp is equal opportunist when it comes to Republicans and Democrats. There is corruption on both sides. Just because I'm a conservative, I'm not going to sit here and just say that the Democrats are at fault. Absolutely not. There is a significant portion of never-Trumpers and hardcore conservative elements in Congress, in the GOP, that would love to have Trump gone yesterday. They want to protect their interest. They want to protect their money machine. They want to protect the swamp. It covers all the atrocities that a lot of them are also included in. And time will tell that that hip and hip with a lot of these Democrats and some of these leftist pushes will be some of our own. Some of our very own have sold us down the river. I guarantee you. Here's a picture of Mueller and Rosenstein right here. It's ridiculous. So, guys, make no mistake. And then let's look at this. And then supposedly, Mueller comes out and declares to the legal team of Trump that he's no longer under a criminal investigation, or he never was, is the statement. That he's a subject, but he's no longer a target. Let me tell you why that matters. Mueller has had nothing. His investigation, his parameters are producing indictments over nothing. Everything that's been indicted and anybody that's ever pled out falls well outside the original parameters. They have nothing. It's the biggest waste of money. It's the biggest witch hunt in political history, United States political history. They have nothing. And I forgot my point. You ever do that? Yeah, I'm so on my point here, and I had a good point about that. But there's nothing left for him to do. Oh, that's what it is. So I remember what I was going to say. So Mueller basically comes out and says that no, Mr. Trump, you're no longer, or nor have you been, a target of an investigation. Well, let me tell you why that's troubling. Everybody's like, oh man, that ought to be a hoorah and good job and awesome, and let's go cheerlead for Trump. That's a scary moment. Let me tell you why. Let me tell you what Mueller's trying to do. He's trying to give President Trump a warm and fuzzy. He's trying to give President Trump a warm and fuzzy. Trump's been saying for months, I'll sit down with Mueller. I'll sit down anytime. Name the time and the place and the date. And he knows that Trump's administration, that Trump's legal team is basically telling him, and has kicked this can as long as they can, not to sit down in front of Mueller. Let me tell you why. It's not because the president did anything wrong. It's not because an investigation or an interview would declare something that Trump did wrong. He did not. It's because of a perjury trap. It's because you go sit down in front of Mueller, you'll never know what he knows. You'll never know everything he knows. You'll never know in advance exactly what you're going to be asked. So President Trump, being the most extravagant speaker that we might have had in modern times, that doesn't stick to a script, that says what he has on his mind, that doesn't care what the status quo is, could care less what the repercussions are. You get a guy like that, you add that equation up, you get a guy like that sitting in front of a shark like Mueller and all of his guys, and you don't know what the questions are going to be, you don't know what the status is going to be, and the next thing you know, you've answered something that isn't exactly 100% true, or you didn't disclose and you omitted something. Guys, either way, it's perjury. That's all they got. And let me tell you, this started out as something to tie Trump to Russia. They know there was nothing. They know there is nothing now. But you don't think for an instant that Mueller wouldn't take this to the bank twice a day and every day on Sunday? Twice every day and on Sunday too? The fact that he could possibly get President Trump in a perjury trap? Don't hold your breath. That's exactly what he's trying to do. Guys, this shows desperation. This shows clear desperation by the left and the deep state and the swamp in this country that this is what's happening. So, yeah. What we got left here? Run out of time. I love to talk. Maybe I want to show you something funny. We got all these people on the left and these so-called students, and everybody's coming out of the woodworks. It's experts on guns. Take a look at the knowledge this woman has.
Programs across the world. So I have shot guns. Specifically, I've shot an M16, which is a military rifle. The force of the trigger is so powerful that I can't even imagine facing a human with that machine.
Oh my goodness. Am I back on? Yeah. And you guys see that? I literally, when I first saw that on Facebook, I almost rolled over and peed myself. Yeah. I mean, kudos to this woman for having the nerve to stand in front of some kind of reporter. I don't know who it was. Yeah. To have the nerve to stand in front of some kind of reporter, and she's been a part of what? Military programs. What is this? Was this Jason Bourne? I've been a part of programs. And, yeah, Black Ops. Yeah, we, mind warfare, information warfare. I've been there, done that. Yeah, I mean, what is she? I mean, I've been part of military programs. So, yeah, and then, oh my gosh, classic. So the trigger pull on this is beyond belief, and I would hate to face a human with this such destruction. The pull force of the trigger of an AR is such a deadly force that she wouldn't want to face a human being. I think she needs to go back to some of those national programs and and military programs and maybe learn a little bit more. So yeah, I mean, whatever. I mean, I just find I find it absolutely hilarious. Yeah, Kelly's laughing with me. Yeah, I'm glad it made you laugh. It made me laugh so hard just watching it again, The common sense of some of the people guys, these are the experts. And once again, these are the people that want to draft legislation based on their emotions, and the worst time to draft legislation is off of somebody's feelings. How about you draft legislation off of fact? And how about the YouTube shooter? How about the lady that shot up YouTube facilities, the YouTube headquarters? We've got a little, here's a real simple thing. I found this on Facebook. Fit right into my narrative. The YouTube shooter. Let's ask a few questions. Was she white? No. Was she male? No. Christian? No. Was she conservative? That's a big one. No. Another big one. NRA member? No. Was it an assault rifle that was the weapon of choice? No. It was a 9mm, a Smith & Wesson. Conclusion of the left? Still must be the NRA's fault. I'm sorry, she's a vegan YouTuber that if you've watched any of her stuff and went to her, and unfortunately, she shot herself, she killed herself, she committed this horrible act. But crickets from the left, guys. Where's the left at? I mean, and here's an atrocity. I mean, so a leftist vegan goes to and uses supposedly a right-wing tactic, is what the left will always say, by having a gun. Oh my gosh, and it was legally purchased. Shows up at a left. I deem to say YouTube has got a lot of leftist tendencies. They block and scrutinize and algorithm out a lot of conservatives. I can name off a ton of them, right? Goes to a left-wing organization like YouTube and commits this act and shoots it up. That totally goes all against the narrative of the left that they want to paint against the right. Not an NRA member, not a conservative, not a Christian. In fact, she's a Muslim, I believe is what's been disclosed. Might have to check that fact. Pretty certain she's a Muslim. Okay? Doesn't fit the stereotype. Not white, not male, not Christian, not conservative, not an NRA member, and it wasn't an assault rifle. And it's a gun-free zone. Yeah. So, conclusion. Answer all those questions. Ask that to 1,000 hardcore leftists. Doesn't matter. NRA's to blame. What a joke. So, guys, I don't know what else to say. Wanted to add in a little comedy there at the end. Yet again, another jam-packed session, and the worst 2 minutes of my week, guys, is the last 2 minutes of Thursday right before noon, because it's the last 2 minutes of the Truth Hour program for another week. So we have concluded another long, jam-packed episode here. Guys, it was awesome. Amazing feedback from my audience. Please continue to like and share this. If you haven't shared it, go ahead and share it to your page. Come to you weekly, 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time here in Pittsburgh, PA. Truth Hour radio program, formerly of YouTube, believe it or not. Still dump our videos weekly, recorded over there. You can find the archives. And we do exclusively platform here on Facebook Live. Catch more people here, ability to share and like, and so on and so forth. So, appreciate you guys. If you have any topic concerns, any prayer requests, guys, please shoot me a message. Leave it on the chat bar. If you have anything that you'd like to discuss with me, I would welcome it. And I do appreciate your time here. Thanks for carving out a busy hour of your week to spend with me. It means a lot. I appreciate you guys. You are the reason that I do this show every week. I have a true passion for this and appreciate each and every one of you. Even if you disagree with me, hey, on this program you can have a disagreement with a conservative and you won't get your head bit off. I will staunchly stand up for my conservative values, and if we disagree, then we can agree to disagree. And you know what? That's what makes America beautiful, and we are losing a part of that, so we need to get that back. Thanks to everybody that's been on. Christine, thanks for being on today. Appreciate your input and your insight. Lauren, thank you, sir. Kelly, thank you. Jack, if you're on, thank you. Everybody else that's been on, thank you so much. Please like and share this. Please do that now if you haven't done it. And spread the word, and I will compile another fabulous week next week to get back in front of you and bring the same, and we will see you down the road.